What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here for Adorama TV, hanging out in our stream lab in the black box section of it that you don't get to see too often because it is off the grid. But it's great to have it in here and have all this light control because the legend himself, Cliff Hausner, came by and dropped off the new Profoto B10X and B10X Plus. Now, the B10 and B10 Plus have been out for a few years now, so this is kind of like a little bit of a refresher. It's still the same 500 watt second B10 Plus and the same 250 watt second B10, but you're getting a little bit of boost in performance here. So it's a bit of a refresher. You're getting a boost in both the strobe and as far as recycling time, and you're getting a boost in the constant light as far as the brightness and lumens goes. They're saying you get 3,250 lumens out of this. And what does that even mean, right? So to put that in perspective, I decided to do the shot you guys have seen me do a billion times, both live, in videos, all over this channel, the shutter drag, where we use a constant light source to show the motion and a strobe to freeze the action and get a nice sharp image mixed into one frame, no editing, right there on the spot. So I did the B10X Plus, the 500 watt second light, as my key light with a small box on it. I think it was a 1.3 by 1.3 from Profoto OCF, so nice and light. And I also used in the back the B10 itself with the constant light going on, all the way dialed into tungsten because it's a bicolor. It has a whole range of Kelvin temperature for you to play with so that you can get exactly what you want as far as the constant light goes, whether you want to match sources or you want to use it for whatever reason as an effect like I did here today. So when I said putting it into perspective, normally when I do this shot, and again, we've done it a billion times, it's always been a 300 watt tungsten halogen bulb that was my constant light source, and then a strobe. Well, this, with the constant light dialed up all the way, was giving me similar exposure to when I would do that demo, except I'm using the LEDs inside these mono lights, the constant light source, the modeling lights. That means I don't have to worry about, one, a hot light carrying an extra light. I get a 2-for-1 going, and I myself was even skeptical from the originals of, oh man, how much power could I actually get out of this modeling light to film with or do something with? But I actually found myself crutching on it every now and then because I had that option. You can even see on my own YouTube channel, I would quickly just grab the B10 and light the background after I started losing ambient light and stupid things like that. But it was an option and it's always been in my head. Now knowing that these have about 30% more brightness, or I think up to 35% brightness, depending on which model, you are getting an actually usable light here to film with, to shoot constant light with, to do shutter drags with if you want to. And normally with such small lightweight units on battery power, you always worry about battery power and what eats up power more than constant light that's running the entire time. So really awesome, just like the B10 original, the B10 Plus original. I hooked these up to AC power, so I didn't even think about that anymore. In the ceiling, out of my mind, and I'm focusing on the shoot. So I feel like the theme of this video is be turning into 2-for-1. I have a great model, Gabrielle, but she's also a trained makeup artist. So she gave me some great colors on her face, some glitter effects to sparkle off of, including the jacket, which had a lot of reflection to it as well. And you can see that in the drag. The setup and settings itself were typical for me. We're talking about f9 to f11 on my Nikon Z7 II with a 24-70 f4 lens. And I closed down a lot because it's not about having a shallow depth of field in this case because you have so much movement and blurriness happening from the drag itself. You don't really need bokeh. But I did want to make sure that wherever she ended up at the end of the frame, she was still in focus, so it gave me a good amount of depth of field, and dragged my shutter between 1 second to 3 seconds, and I was able to dial in the light itself because it's dimmable to whatever would work with that exposure, meaning I didn't have to burn her in. A lot of times with shutter drags with a constant light, they get overexposed, just become a burned like white or overly yellow gold exploded highlight. Well, if you see here, there's definition in that ghost because I was able to dial in that light to exactly where I want it with the time allotted in the setting for the exposure for her to move across the room the way she did. Really easy technique, a lot of fun to this technique, and I think it was really a great way to see how these lights acted in compared to when I normally do this using multiple lights that are just constant and just strobe. With the recycle time, you're getting a shaved down time. You're going from 2 seconds to 1.35 seconds on the B10, and you're going from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds on the B10 Plus. So it's not monumental, but it is a boost in performance, which is nice to have always. And I know you guys are gonna roll your eyes at this one, but because it can connect to my phone, Profoto has two different apps now. One that gives me every menu that's inside these lights, so I don't need to go up to them. Just like you saw in the Profoto A10 video, everything that's in these lights is in my phone through their app. But they also have a camera app now, and I can shoot Profoto RAW with my phone using the strobe as my light source. You can actually watch in this video that it pulsates a little bit. It's actually TTLing to the phone's rolling shutter. And I know it's like, what, why? It's just an option to have. It's something cool, and they're definitely thinking about the presence of smartphones in our world, our industry, especially if you're shooting something and maybe you have an art director that wants to see something really quick. You can take it with your phone using the actual lights you're using, send it over to them. All sorts of options, especially if you're someone that works in social media or has to get something out there pretty quick. It's something. Now with the 10 series, you have what I call the 10 series. Profoto is probably cringing right now, but you get Bluetooth in there. And as soon as I turn these lights on, I paired my phone to them like that. I'm not making that up. I hate Bluetooth usually, and my phone saw these lights really quickly, and I was able to upgrade the firmware right there on the spot before I even got started. Then I'm able to actually use the controls. So if you look during the shoot, when I was shooting with Gabrielle, I went and did the tungsten drag that you guys see me do all the time with the nice orangey gold ghost, but right there on my phone, without even having to move, I dialed into the B10 in the back, changed it to a neutral light. I actually cranked it all the way bluish tone, so it was like 6500K basically. And I got the same shot, but with a different feel and look to it. In fact, when we were shooting it, we went from like this warm stage kind of feel to what we were talking like Blade Runner-y, stealthy kind of blue cybernetic kind of look. I know I'm reaching on that one, but you can see that there's definitely a difference in the feel of these images just by changing the temperature of the light. And I didn't have to change anything but that from my phone. I didn't move a light, I didn't swap out a light, I didn't carry extra gear, and there's no heat from a tungsten bulb, which is a big deal, especially here on a carpeted floor. If I took down a tungsten light out of the ceiling, it would have melted through the carpet here. And that's another thing. One of the cool things we did here was we gripped into the ceiling. If you notice, there was no stands on the ground. It's a small space, and we got all the footprint we can because I gripped it into the ceiling with some super clamps and some articulating arms, which you guys see me do a lot. But that's also speaking to the capability of these lights as they're so small, so portable, and able to be gripped up by a bunch of arms. Now, if you need some more testament to exactly what's up with the continuous lights, you're actually looking at me right now being filmed with them. And this isn't even an easy setup. I'm talking over 4 feet away from me in a 3-foot octa with 2 stops of diffusion is the B10X Plus. And back there at the same box I used as my key light for Gabrielle is the B10 all the way on tungsten. So you get the warm rim or hair light, or whatever you want to call it, separation light, and you get this constant light as a key light. And if you think about it, it's over 4 feet away from me through 2 stops of diffusion in a 3-foot octa in the same light that I could just switch on the strobe and just start shooting. Really great, amazing that we have this versatility, how fast we can work, and how much we can do with what will all fit in the same backpack nowadays. All right, well, that's gonna do it for me. If you guys have any questions for me about my experience using the B10X and the B10X Plus, hit me with a comment down below. Don't forget to like, share this video around, hit subscribe, plus the bell to get notified of more videos that come out. And I'll see you next time. Later.